Every morning, at exactly 9:15, she sat by the same window, waiting for a letter that never came. Not for a week, not for a year, for 60 years. And when the truth finally arrived, it didn't bring peace. It destroyed everything she believed.
The postman came every morning at exactly 9:15. For most of the town, he was just a passing figure, a man in a faded uniform, carrying envelopes filled with ordinary lives, bills, invitations, government notices. But for Eliza Moreau, he was something else entirely. He was hope. Every day, she sat by the window before he arrived. Same chair, same posture, same trembling hands folded neatly in her lap. The curtains were always half drawn, not to block the light, but to soften it. Harsh sunlight, she believed, made waiting harder. It made time feel louder. And time was already unbearable. It had started in 1943. The war had taken many things from the town: its young men, its laughter, its certainty. But when her son Daniel left, Eliza had not cried. Not in front of him. "You're right," she had said, adjusting his collar like he was still a boy. Daniel had smiled. That same crooked smile he had since childhood. Every week, he promised. And for a while, he did. The first letter came 10 days later. Then another. Then another. Each one filled with careful optimism. He never described the horrors, only the sky, the weather, the strange taste of army food, the way he missed her cooking. Eliza read each letter dozens of times, then hundreds. She stored them in a small wooden box beside her bed, tied neatly with a ribbon that had once been part of Daniel's birthday gift.
Then, one day, the letters stopped. At first, she wasn't afraid. "Mail gets delayed," the postman said kindly. "War is complicated." So she waited. A week passed, then 2, then a month. The town moved on faster than she did. Other families received telegrams, some with relief, others with devastating finality. But Eliza received nothing. No letter, no official notice, no explanation. Just silence. Silence can be a strange thing. At first, it feels temporary. Then, uncertain. Then, personal. Eliza began writing to him. Every day. She told him about the garden, even when it had stopped blooming. She described the neighbors, even when they had stopped visiting. She wrote about small things, the kind of details only a mother would think mattered. She never missed a day. Not once. Years passed. The war ended. The town celebrated. Men returned. Families reunited. But Daniel did not. People began to whisper, "He's gone. She should accept it. It's not healthy." But Eliza never stopped waiting, because no one had told her to stop. That was the detail that mattered. Not hope, not denial, but the absence of certainty. The house began to change. Dust gathered in corners where laughter once lived. The paint peeled slowly, like time itself was losing patience. The garden became wild, untamed, no longer a place of care, but of quiet surrender. Yet inside, everything remained frozen. Daniel's room stayed exactly the same. His bed, untouched. His books, aligned. His childhood jacket still hanging behind the door. And every morning, at 9:15, Eliza sat by the window.
The postman changed over the years. New faces, new footsteps, new voices. But the routine remained. They all knew her. The woman who waited. Some avoided eye contact. Others offered sympathetic smiles. But none of them ever had what she needed.
Decades passed. The world transformed. Televisions replaced radios. Cars replaced bicycles. Children grew into parents, then into grandparents. But Eliza remained in the same chair, in the same house, in the same moment, waiting. At some point, hope stopped being hopeful. It became structural, a part of her identity. If she stopped waiting, what would remain? Her letters never stopped either. She filled notebooks, stacks upon stacks, each one addressed to Daniel, each one ending the same way. I'll wait for your reply. By the 30th year, even the town had forgotten. New residents didn't know her story. To them, she was just an old woman with a strange habit, a ghost sitting behind glass. But time has a way of circling back. It happened in the 60th year. A new clerk arrived at the regional records office, a young man named Thomas. He wasn't supposed to find anything. He was just reorganizing old wartime files, most of which hadn't been touched in decades. Boxes labeled and forgotten, names fading into obscurity. Until one file caught his attention. It was thin, too thin. The name read, Daniel Moreau. Status? Undetermined. Thomas frowned. That category wasn't common. Most files ended in certainty. Discharged, missing, deceased. But this one? It was incomplete. Inside, there was a single note, a clerical annotation, dated 1944. Correspondence returned. No registered next of kin. File unresolved. Thomas read it again. And again. Something didn't make sense. He dug deeper, cross-referenced documents, compared addresses, and slowly, a mistake began to surface. A small error. A single digit wrong in a mailing code. That was all it had taken. Daniel's letters, after a certain point, had been sent to the wrong address. Returned, filed, forgotten. And worse, a final report confirming his death had been processed under that same incorrect code, meaning it had never reached Eliza. For 60 years, she had been waiting for a letter that had already been written. Thomas didn't hesitate. He gathered the documents, the returned letters, the final report, and he drove to the address listed in the corrected file. The house stood quietly at the end of the road, older now, fragile, like it had been holding its breath for decades. He knocked. No answer. He knocked again. Slow footsteps approached. The door creaked open. Eliza stood there, smaller than he expected, thinner, but her eyes still searching. Yes? She asked softly. Thomas swallowed. He wasn't prepared for this moment. No training could prepare someone for 60 years of waiting condensed into a single conversation. I have something for you. Her eyes shifted. Not with excitement, but with something more fragile. Recognition. He handed her the bundle. Yellowed envelopes. Official documents. Fragments of a life delayed. Her hands trembled as she took them. For a moment, she didn't open anything. She just held them, as if confirming they were real. Then slowly, she unfolded the first letter. Her eyes moved across the page. Carefully. Deliberately. And for the first time in 60 years, she heard his voice again.
Tears came quietly. Not dramatic. Not overwhelming. Just steady. Letter after letter she read, time collapsing with every word, until she reached the final document. The report. She read it once, then again. The room fell silent. Thomas stood there, unsure what to say. What could be said? After a long moment, Eliza looked up. "He wrote," she whispered. It wasn't a question. It was a realization. Thomas nodded. A faint smile appeared on her lips. Not joyful, not relieved, but complete. I knew he would. She folded the letter carefully, placed it against her chest. I was right to wait. And in that moment, something shifted. Not grief, not relief, but resolution. The next morning, at 9:15, the postman came. But for the first time in 60 years, the chair by the window was empty. Inside the house, the curtains were open. Sunlight filled the room without resistance. And on the small wooden table, the letters rested quietly. No longer lost, no longer waiting. Just finally home. Comment your answer below. I read every one. If stories like this stay with you, then this channel is for you. We don't just tell stories. We uncover the silence behind them. Subscribe, because the next story might change how you see everything.